our friend, Minnesota's former governor, Tim Pawlenty, a supporter of Governor Mitt Romney, to talk a little bit about the private sector experience of Governor Romney and the criticism coming from the Obama campaign about it. Governor, nice to have you back. How are you?
Scott, it's always great to be with you. I'm doing wonderfully.
Fantastic. So here is kind of an interesting little episode of the weekend. The governor, or rather the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, a Obama supporter, Cory Booker, goes on Meet the Press and talks about the nauseating, that was his word, attacks on private sector success and saying he doesn't like it. That didn't stop Barack Obama from doubling down. Here's what he had to say about his plans for this campaign. Roll Obama here.
If your main argument for how to grow the economy is, I knew how to make a lot of money for investors, then you're missing what this job is about. It doesn't mean you weren't good at private equity. But that's not what my job is as president. My job is to take into account everybody, not just some. My job is to make sure that the country is growing not just now, but 10 years from now and 20 years from now. And so, to repeat, this is not a distraction. This is what this campaign is going to be about, is what is a strategy for us to move this country forward in a way where everybody can succeed. And that means I've got to think about those workers in that video just as much as I'm thinking about folks who've been much more successful. What I would say is that Mr. Romney is responsible for the proposals he's putting forward for how he says he's going to fix the economy. And if the main basis for him suggesting he can do a better job is his track record as the head of a private equity firm, then both the upsides and the downsides are worth examining.
All right, so you got plenty to respond to there. I'll let you have at it.
Well, Scott, the layers of hypocrisy in the president's approach to this private equity issue and his misguided thinking in the areas of the private economy are so numerous it's hard to even present in a short period of time. But let me try. Number one, he's out bashing private equity, and they launched their first attack ad on Mitt Romney in this regard on the very day that Barack Obama is in New York City raising money from one of the premier private equity firms in the country, and in fact he's taken a boatload of money from private equity. So number one, there's hypocrisy here on this issue. Number two, I don't think he even understands private equity. If you look at private equity, most of their investors, a lot of it is college endowment funds, pension plans, union retirement plans, other endowment funds for charities and nonprofits, and the fact that they're investing that money on behalf of those individuals shows that people who are benefiting from that in many cases are people, just average folks across the country, or people who are in one of those retirement or pension plans or trying to help out a charity or nonprofit or university. Third, what private equity does is oftentimes invest in medium-sized businesses and tries to grow them and expand their investment in the businesses, try to get the business to grow and add jobs. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. And to have the President of the United States suggest it isn't just shows he's either ill-informed or just misguided. Mitt Romney's record at Bain Capital overall is one of job growth, substantial job growth, major job growth. Now, not every company makes it, because one of the things they do is buy companies that are in trouble and try to get them back to health. Not all of them make it, so there's going to be some failures, but overall it's a record of job growth. And then lastly, to suggest that the government is the way forward to give people opportunity in the future, 10 or 20 years down the road, just shows Barack Obama's misguided thinking. He's got a government-centric approach to everything, and Mitt Romney's approach is different. And he understands that the way to get this country moving again is to get the private economy and free enterprise growing again in this country, not to try to stifle it and kick it in the shins every day like the president currently does and unfortunately does. And by the way, as your clip pointed out, some some of the president's best backers are criticizing the president for his naive and hypocritical and misguided comments in this area. Not just Cory Booker, the current mayor of Newark, but Harold Ford Jr., former member of Congress on the Democratic side, and Obama supporter Ed Rendell, the former Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, President Obama's own car czar, Steve Ratner, and others have all said basically the president is, being unfair and inaccurate and unwise in these comments.
The other thing, he's talking about his job, is being very different than what Mitt Romney is using in his record. What did you make of that, given the fact that, if he's saying my job is to worry for, the economy and folks, isn't most right-thinking folks going to go, well, you haven't performed very well at that job?
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to talk about job loss or, there's 23 million Americans that are unemployed, underemployed, or have given up and left the workforce. We've had 40 months of above 8% unemployment in the country. So if he wants to have this be a referendum on, job loss and handling of the economy, Barack Obama's record in that regard is terrible. And then finally, the best way we can help people is to create an opportunity in the markets for jobs to grow and people to have access to a good-paying job. That's the best way to help them, not to create more government programs and to bloat government even further.
While we have some help from the fact that there is some criticism coming from the left and from Democratic supporters, I've heard others suggest that Mitt Romney isn't doing a good enough job defending his credentials, if you will, and the free market. Do you think that more needs to be done to respond to this?
Well, I think I don't agree that he's not doing a good enough job, Scott. I get all the clips from all across the country, just about every day, every hour of every day, and I can tell you the backlash against the president here has been dramatic, and the press coverage of this has been significantly in favor of Mitt Romney's perspective on this. So I think he is telling his story, and he's telling it successfully.
And so, in other words, you're comfortable that he's correctly defending this, and this is boomeranging more on Obama than anything.
Yeah, I think that's right. Obviously, this is a long road, so that you can't look at any one day or any 1 week and just say we've got it covered. You got to keep working at it. But this is a moment in time in our history where I think people understand that the way forward is not more government, not more Obama's vision for government, solutions to everything. They understand we've got to get the free enterprise moving again in this country. Barack Obama
appreciate it, Governor.